Okay, we're on. Welcome. Thank you for all coming to the Zoning Design Review Board meeting for Tuesday, May 9th, of 2017. We'll call the meeting to order. And roll call.
Member Allen?
Here.
Member Denton?
Here.
And Chair Cook?
Here.
Let the record show that Member Laz and Vice Chair Tigrit are excused.
Perfect, thanks. Can you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would anybody have any changes to the agenda? We can make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
In a second?
Yes, I second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
About approval of the minutes. Did you see anything in the minutes that you needed to adjust?
I did.
Okay.
So in regards to the 6525 Washington Street Design Review Master sign, towards the bottom of page 2, right after the boldface words, all members supported the proposed clock sign. I think we also had a consensus of the south entrance being favorable, so as opposed to
Oh, yeah, you're right.
so that might be worthy. And then the 3 sentences above that a gable end be added to the outdoor roof. That reads a little unclear. The outdoor roof, meaning the one on the deck, or maybe it could be called the terrace roof.
We could do that.
That's fine.
Yep.
Yeah. Good points. Thank you. So adjusted. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with those corrections. In a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approve the minutes. Any of the public here have any comments on any items that are not on the agenda tonight? Okie doke. Then we will move on to our first public hearing. 17-1210, 6541 Washington Street, a sign permit for Vintage House.
Great. Well, thank you so much, members of the board. This evening you have before you an application for a sign permit for business identification signs, one affixed to a building and a new monument sign in front of the Vintage Inn, with the sign now identifying the property as the Vintage House. It's a straightforward application with 2 signs. The first sign is a 6 square foot sign affixed to the building, located right next to the front doors. The sign will identify the business as Vintage House and will include a brand medallion below the primary text as shown on the slide on the screen. The white frame will include a satin finish and will be composed of a 1/4-inch aluminum. And the sign will rest on a background pattern which will be sandwiched between the frame and the sign text. The pattern includes a white trellis effect that is also it's also evident on the monument sign that is the second sign on the application. The lettering is a small, about 3 inches tall, and this is the overall design of it. The monument sign, as shown on the screen, would be located just off of the new walkway, not far off Washington Street, visible from the right-of-way. The overall size of the sign, including the frame and background, is 23 square feet in total. That calculation only takes into account this frame. We do not count the space below the structure or the legs there. It's just this basic rectangle shown. That is consistent with how other signs have been sized and measured across the community. The pattern is composed of a 1/2-inch aluminum sandwiched between a 2-inch aluminum square tube frame, and the color of the frame and the pattern is white with a satin finish. Also on this sign is an LED edge lighting that is going to be installed around the letters of the sign, with the power supply incorporated within the sign cabinet, not unlike the one shown in this image here, to show subtle lighting instead of, usually when you hear of a internally illuminated sign, you usually think of kind of the strip mall look where the entire frame is illuminated. In this case, it's just subtle LED lighting around the letters themselves. Now, when it comes to the analysis of this, really the only two issues needed to be discussed is the design as well as the size. First, with the design, staff is of the opinion that it is consistent with the design ordinance, that it isn't flashy, it's subtle, and it ties in with the architecture of the building that it identifies. Regarding the size of the signs, the sign ordinance of the Yountville Municipal Code states that no business shall have more than 30 square feet of total signage. And so that's the number that they're going off of for this. And with the small affixed sign being 6 square feet and the monument sign being 23 square feet, that brings them under that 30, so that would be permitted. The applicant does propose having the monument sign be two-sided, however, and staff is of the opinion that that should not be granted because you would then count both sides of the monument sign. 23 plus 23 being 46 plus 6 exceeds that 30 square foot maximum that is within the municipal code. So that is up for the ZDRB to discuss this evening. It is staff's recommendation that the signs be approved as presented, with the exception that the monument sign be one-sided instead of two. And a condition is in the conditions of approval that reflects that. If you have any questions, we're here to answer, as well as representatives from the applicant.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions of staff? Barbara? No. Okay, then we can proceed to the applicant. Would the applicant like to come on up? Give us your name.
Rochelle Zatkin. I'm with Architectural Signs. And pretty much described what we're asking for from Nathan's presentation. It's fairly understated, and the trellis, has a transparency. I realized the other day that I could probably have taken the time to calculate the holes and reduce the square footage, because you can see through the frame, the trellis. We're calling it a trellis. However, because of the sign code for Yountville, apparently we're calculating the square footage of the sign, outer dimension of the entire structure. It's a new brand, new name, new building going up, as you know. So I don't know if you have questions or you want to see the light. I brought my little sample of the lighting if the photograph was sufficient. Oh, I should talk about the lighting now. The letters are actually, I'm sorry I don't have the white background. It would have been a little bit more appropriate. But the letters themselves come through the face of the aluminum. We cut out the aluminum for each of the letters, and then we push through a little bit of space so that the sign comes away from the substrate, and therefore it's called push through. And then we light within the sign box. It's not, we don't like to call it, say, internally illuminated lighting, because it's not like shopping center. It's much more subtle, and that's all you'll see at night is the edge detail. So low energy, small little power supply, very energy economical, and again, very low-key lighting. We don't need to have a fixture, any kind of uplighting that creates shadows or unattractive lighting, I would say. So.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions of the applicant? Go ahead.
Sure.
Okay.
So what type of lighting is used? One of the effects that I'm not particularly fond of is when you get some of the hot spots in there. So how do you propose to keep more of an even diffused, consistent light?
I can show you if you'd like to see it.
No, I'm just in general, like what?
It's the material that we're using for the lighting is called sign white. It's an opaque are translucent kind of acrylic.
Mhm.
that- And we also, the way we install the LEDs, it's not, we fabricate the signs so that the LEDs go around, and so you don't get hot spots at all.
I think that's sufficient.
I'd be happy to show you.
No, that's okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, Barbara, did you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I don't have any questions either.
Okay, so should I sit down?
Thank you very much. Yes, you can go ahead and sit down. I do have one question. Looking at the monument sign, and we're counting the whole exterior, and they have the floated condensed letters in the middle that say Vintage House. If they wanted to, they could make that section larger, right? Make the letters larger.
Correct, because the
Right.
calculation right now is
Is the
this
exterior.
entire thing here.
Okay.
So if they wanted to make the trellis effect smaller
Right.
and have the text larger,
Right.
they're within the numbers to do that.
Okay, good. Okay, does any of the public want to come up and comment on this application? Okay, then we will close public comment and move on to our discussion. Barbara, two things: design of the signs and the one-sided, the two-sided exception.
I guess I can ask the staff if they want.
You can still use the microphone. yeah.
When you do the two-sided, they could shrink the outside trellis part smaller to make it within 30 square feet.
If they wanted to go two-sided with it,
Right.
the entire sign would
Would
need to
have to
be
come
smaller,
down.
the frame of it,
Right.
in order to meet the 30 square foot maximum.
Okay, so there's room for them to play with. Either way,
Yeah,
they can.
there's no explicit, no sign shall be two-sided. They could make it seven-sided for all that matters. It just needs to be within that 30 square foot.
Right, okay,
I don't know if design seven-sided would look good, but
right. Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's all the question I
And
have.
design-wise, you're good?
I don't see anything bothering with me for the design because it's obviously it's the owner's prerogative to pick their design. I don't see anything that bothers me about the design. I'm
Okay.
good with.
Jared?
So as far as the design stands and stuff, commend the applicant. It's a very elegant looking sign. I think there's a lot of elements that are classy and just it reads well. I think I'm in general supportive of the sign that's mounted to the face of the building, but the monument sign with the square footage, I'm not looking to alter the standards for Yountville as far as the overall square footage. So I guess it would be a question whether applicants interested in changing to just the single-sided or whether what we consider to leave this.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I would have to say I agree. I think the sign is very nice design-wise and elegantly matches what you guys are establishing for Vintage House. And I agree that I don't find any kind of reason for a variance to adding the square footage, because we've held to that in other places that asked to put two-sided signs. And so I will make a motion to approve the project as presented, including the condition of approval number 9, that the sign, well, should that condition number 9 be rewritten that it is within the square footage limit? Not that it's
yeah, right now it's
necessarily
just written
two-sided.
that it be one-sided.
Right.
But we could always change it to say that the sign either be one-sided or that the design is changed to be within the 30
Yes,
foot.
I think that's more appropriate, and then that lets them
Sure.
decide how they want to do it. Okay.
If the whole board agrees with that.
So before seconding that, I want to ask a question.
Sure.
Would it make any difference to the board to, if in order to meet the requirements and stuff, the sign change? I mean, it seems like it's very open-ended. So I'm questioning whether.
True.
Yeah, so I'm questioning, maybe I can ask the applicant
Sure,
first.
sure.
Would you mind coming up? Thank you so much. So how, if we gave a general approval to meet the 30 square
Yes.
feet, I won't hold you to this, but I'm asking, like, what are the methodology of
Reducing
reducing it? Would you consider the one-sided, or would you?
one-sided,
That's the
Okay.
preferred?
yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Then that,
so we can go ahead and approve it the way it's written.
okay,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Okay, good call, thank you for your help. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the project as presented with the condition of approvals as written. All in favor? Oh, a second.
Second.
All in favor? There's only
Aye.
3, aye.
Aye.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Okay, we will move on to 17-1212, 6523 Washington Street, Model Bakery.
Okay. Thank you, board. Another sign application before you. This one is slightly different than the previous one because there are 2 businesses on this property, both the Railway Inn and the Coffee Caboose, Java Hut 2, now the mini model operated by Model Bakery. Because there are 2 businesses on the same property, they would operate under a master sign plan. So before you tonight is the approval of a master sign plan for them. And it's, again, a straightforward concept. The Java Hut before had 2 signs. One sign was located on the tower of the caboose, located here. And the second one was on a canvas awning that said Coffee Caboose on it. Those 2 are both being replaced with one M model sign on top of the tower and a mini model identification sign on the awning. So replacing one tower sign with another one and the awning sign with another one. The third sign that would be incorporated in the master sign plan is an existing sign, this monument sign that's located in there, simply removing the text that said Coffee Caboose and now identifies the business as mini model. So the sign portion of this project includes that establishment of the master sign plan. All the sizes are consistent with the code. All of them are less than 25 square feet in size, and the total is well under the allotted signage for the site. And so staff sees no issues with the size. Now, when we talk about the design of the signs, it's important to also think of the other design review elements for the property as a whole. The applicant does propose to apply a fresh coat of paint to the site, painting the caboose white, as well as power washing and restaining the deck and railings to be black. Along with the new paint, the applicant also proposes a new awning that would replace the canvas awning. The awning will be the same size as the former, only instead of composed of canvas, it would be composed with corrugated metal panels with alternating dark gray and light gray colors. Adjacent to the awning will be a fascia graphic that says mini model along a white or yellow background. A lot of that will be determined as the painting goes on with the rest of the site, but maintains the same color palette of the white, gray, black, and yellow that the applicant is planning on here. Hanging from the awning will also be 4 new light fixtures, which will be held in a halophane powder-coated steel black-colored cage fixtures. The proposed wattage for that are 40-watt incandescent bulbs, which are not very glaring, they aren't very bright, and it's consistent with the town's light standards. So overall, again, to be brief, staff is of the opinion that this does meet the design standards that the town has established in the design ordinance and the municipal code. It's consistent with similar color schemes just next door with the whistle stop, as well as Vintage Inn, what we just saw. The area kind of has that white and black with an emphasis of one color yellow that will help the business stand out without being an eyesore either. The signs are within the requirements of the sign ordinance, and so staff recommends approval. We're here, the standard set of conditions of approval apply to this with nothing incredibly unique tied to it. So we're here for any questions, and there's also a representative from the applicant here.
Okay, perfect. And we're strictly design because it meets everything else.
Correct.
Okay. Barbara, you have any questions of Nathan?
No. I'd like to see color scheme. Do they bring samples of the color?
No, we do have this slide here.
Okay.
And this slide here that kind of shows
Okay.
the color of it. The previous slide here, though the slide is black and white, they're proposing black and white. And so while we might have a variance, it might be a shade of white instead of this paper white, this does still give us a good idea of what it will be.
That's fine.
Just a little bit of yellow.
Yeah.
Jared,
No,
questions?
no
No?
questions at this time.
Nothing, me either. Would the applicant like to come up and say anything?
I'm Sarah Hansen. I own Model Bakery. I think Nathan did a good job describing the project. As far as colors, I have our business card here, so it's kind of more like a creamy yellow is the background. It's the same color we have at Oxbow, at our Oxbow location. And yeah, I think the white is similar to the whistle stop. So I think that's mostly it.
Okay. You have any questions of Sarah?
No, I'm good.
You're good. Thank you for bringing this to town.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you have any questions, Jared?
Just one question. The very straightforward project, so and classic colors. So, but as far as the 40-watt incandescent bulb, is there any option to maybe get a LED version or something more energy efficient?
We could look into that. And one thing I did want to note is they're actually not going to be hanging off the awning. They're the existing fixtures that are on the building now. We're just going to change out the fixtures. So I don't know if that matters. But yeah, we could certainly look at more energy efficient bulbs. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay.
great.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Did any of the public have any comments on this project? Please come up. Okay, nothing? Okay,
Nope.
thank you. Then we will discuss it. Barbara, any comments?
No, I'm good
Are you good with
with
the
what's
project?
presented.
Okay.
Yes.
And Jared?
This is about as straightforward as it gets,
I know.
so I have no
I know.
questions or no comments.
No, and we're all familiar with the logo, and
Yep.
it looks like it's properly applied and all the signs, so I will make a motion to approve the project as presented.
I'll second it.
And all in favor?
Aye.
There you go. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you in town.
Likewise.
Okay, we can move on to the next one. 17-1209, 6526 Yonge Street, the Bartisono project.
Good evening. Tonight you have before you design review for the landscape and fencing plan for the Bartisono Villa that's located adjacent to the town's pedestrian path system on both the east and south sides, and Hopper Creek that's located on the east side. And on October 4th, 2016, the Town Council adopted a resolution amending the master development plan for the Bartisono Hotel to include a 3-suite lodging unit on what was a former single-family residential parcel. And at that meeting, the applicant presented drawings for the fencing at that corner property, and it was comprised of 6-foot-tall fence segments alternating between stained cedar and concrete block. And it was located directly atop the retaining wall that supports the south and east sides of that property. And it was really intended to maximize the guest outdoor space for each of the 3 units. But this placement would have resulted in a very tall fence, up to 9 feet tall, at that southeast corner where it sits, right, where the wall is the tallest. And both staff and the town council had concerns as to this placement. One, that it would create a tunnel effect as you were on the path, and that's due in part to the fact that the residential fences on the south side are 8 feet in height because of change in grade, and that's taller than the standard 6-foot fence. And it was also because atop the retaining wall there was no articulation in that elevation. It was very flat, and it didn't allow for a transition between the landscaped environment and the built environment. It was very definitely a tall, flat fence. So when the council approved the project, they included a condition of approval that the applicant submit a revised wall fence plan to the ZDRB. And it requires that the plan incorporate techniques that reduce the massing of the wall, including increasing the setback to property lines and providing the planters. And that is the plan before you tonight. In the staff report, it describes the applicant's design intent with the landscape plan, and it's essentially to continue the plan that is utilized on the remainder of the Bartisono site, where each of the unit clusters has a tree that designates that cluster. And in this case, they have selected a maple, and they'll use different varieties of maples to sort of set the scale and the tone for the property. And the remainder of the landscaping will be as found on the site. In these illustrations here, you can get a good idea of the landscaping on top of the retaining wall and on the public side of the fence, as well as down below in what is a mostly dirt planter between edge of walkway and the retaining wall. And you can see on the south side that there is now articulation in that fence where there are large landscape planters on both the east and west end. This allows trees to be planted, and then it varies back and forth for the remainder of the property line. At no point does it sit directly atop the retaining wall. At a minimum, it's set back 18 inches, and at most up to about 5 feet. And as I note that this design went through several iterations where staff shared concerns, and what we see presented tonight we think is a good solution to the problems or concerns that were raised earlier. There is the step back version of the fence. There's the large landscape planters. There's the trees. There will be sections of the wall where vines are trained upon it to soften the effect, and then with the dirt planter down below being planted, that should result in this being a better improved lot, and also more in keeping with the Bartisono Hotel itself. I do make 2 comments in the staff report as to the bollard lighting, and by condition of approval it's required from the subject parcel all the way out to Yount Street, and so that'll be a condition that needs to be satisfied when it comes forward for building permit. And the applicant is also showing here only the segment of the dirt planter between edge of pathway and the project site. They'll be improving that for the full length of the property.
Okay.
And so we are recommending approval, and the applicant is here tonight to present the project as well.
Okay, thank you. Jared, any questions of staff?
No staff. No? Thank you.
Okay, Barbara? Okay, no, I'm good. Well, you did say that at no point will the wall be sitting right on the retaining wall, but it will on the creek side, right?
Right,
Okay.
right. As to the south side, it does sit
yeah.
but
But
for
it's not-
most of that east elevation on property line.
Okay, then we will move on to the applicant. If the applicant would like to come up and say something?
My name is Don Wycley, and I'm a landscape architect with VITA. And I was actually the original landscape architect on the project back in 2006 and 2008. So hopefully we have some continuity on the project. But it's great to be actually finally filling the last missing tooth on the project. And you've actually done a great job presenting it, all the notes I felt we need to raise. But hopefully we've responded to most of the comments that have come up. We've gone back and forth in several iterations with staff. And I know the concerns, particularly at the ends, as you approach the project on the sides and pulling the fence back so we have some room for more buffer and more planting on the outside of the fence. I think also helps the improvement of the look of the property as well, so we're happy to do that. So I guess mostly I'm just here to answer any questions any of you might have or anything that needs further clarification.
Okay, Jared, you had some questions?
Sure. First of all, I recognize a lot of familiar faces. I was there in 2006 when we approved this. So it's a lovely project. Only real question. First of all, I think materials are very consistent with what we see out there. I use this path a lot, so I greatly appreciate not having the verticality of the fences and stuff along this line. But the 2 corner trees on, say, the southeast and southwest, it appears, just eyeballing scale, the plant area may be roughly 4, possibly 5 feet in depth, and is the tree that's proposed there, do you think that's,
Actually, that's maybe a little bit misleading because this is a fairly quick schematic drawing
Sure.
of the planting. I think at the end, we're going to put the plants there that are appropriate for the scale of the planter. For the most part, the trees along the edge will be smaller maples, like vine maples.
can you go to
and-
the rendering? Yeah.
And so I think that's probably a better representation of the scale of them. And there probably would be a bigger tree in that corner with a canopy on the creek end of it. But again, that tree probably wouldn't be a whole lot bigger than that. It's like a David's maple to get like maybe, 18 feet across.
So do you think that the canopy is going to kind of shrink in, or?
The one at the end we see more as a canopy to be open underneath.
Okay.
And just be sort of anchor that corner as you come around. And we want to take advantage where the fence does drop back and we'll put some vines on it so it sort of disappears here and there.
Sure.
And also on the ends, we have the wood fence on the corner that's a little bit lighter than having the CMU block on it.
And I appreciate that. That's a good detail. Just for our perspective, what is the scale of the upper fence in that location?
The height of it?
Yeah, above the CMU
Oh,
wall,
it's
the wood portion of
Yeah,
that.
so you have the low wall there, and then
Uh-huh.
those fences are 8 feet
Okay,
on the privacy sides.
thank you.
6 feet.
So I'm sorry, six. And again, they'd have vines on the outside, so some of the panels actually start to.
Sure.
Okay, thanks. I think town council was very wise to make some requirements that this be looked at better, because this is a big improvement over 2 walls on that side. And I will appreciate also using the path a lot, the addition of the lighting, the bollard lighting along there will be a big improvement too. I don't have any questions. Barbara?
No, I don't have any questions. I do like the improvement around that corner. We, as a town resident, we all use that path quite a bit.
Sure.
It's a great addition to our neighborhood.
Good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Are there any members of the public that would like to come up and comment on this project? Okay, come on up.
Good evening. My name is Bill Craig. I live at 20 Ivy Court. We are just adjacent on the backside of Ivy Court to the proposed home, suites. Our main concern has been, at this point, maintaining our level of privacy, not wanting, again, a repeat of the current situation where the furthest 2-story building on the property looks down into our yard and into our windows. With the proximity of the new buildings, we wanted to make sure that this was not going to occur again. I've been in contact with the town and been following the progress of the fence and landscaping propositions. And again, we hope that the developer will understand our concerns for privacy, having a building and transient population moving through those suites with their access visually into our yards and our rooms, and to mitigate that with landscaping that will obscure that view. One of the issues or questions that we had that I have yet to hear answered was whether this particular unit will be built at current grade level, or if the grade level will be raised on that lot and then the unit built on top of it. This was an issue that we had with the hotel in its original construction, where grade was raised several feet and then the units were built on top of that. A 25-foot unit is fine, but when you raise ground 6 feet, it becomes a 30-foot, 31-foot unit. That changes a lot of view corridor and a lot of view section. View being a broad term here, our view now is into the hotel where it was not before, and their view into our yard. So we would hope that the landscaping that's proposed will have enough vertical height and a vertical breadth, or horizontal breadth, to obscure any kind of view from that new unit into our property. Other than that, I think the fence design is good. I don't know if the total height was ever mentioned from walkway or pathway to the top of the fence. Is that at this point 8 feet, 9 feet? Do we know? walkway height to the top
varies.
of the proposed
It
fence?
varies.
It varies.
And on the south side, since the proposed fence does not sit atop the retaining wall, there really is no part that's 8 or 9 feet. It's stepped back, so the fence, you do have the 3-foot retaining wall, and the fence is set back and 6 feet atop that.
Right, so 6 feet atop the retaining wall as the retaining wall diminishes in its height as the path
Yes.
raises.
Yes.
Right, okay. Other than that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay. We could just go ahead, right? Is there anything you needed to address?
Well, I thought I might address some of his concerns.
Sure.
As to the grade of this parcel, the natural grade has already been raised with the retaining wall that establishes the grade upon which the suite will be constructed. This unit does vary slightly from the other units of Artisono in that it's a 1-story unit rather than 2-story, and that's intended to mitigate some of those views. And I could allow the applicant's architect to discuss it more, but the landscaping chosen does have that vertical height in the selection of some of the trees for selected portions of it. It's not an entire landscaped wall effect, but there are higher elements, some included.
So those are single-story with just very high ceilings?
Right.
So there won't be anybody up on the second floor looking over the wall? Okay. Okay, great. Anybody have any comments?
Yeah,
Discuss the project?
I have a question. Can the applicant kind of help walk us through some of the landscaping? Yeah, just maybe in context of what's different than what's already currently used on the site, or what are variations?
I think that the one slight variation, if you go through the existing project, the courtyards tend to be sort of themed with a family of plants. The same will be true inside this one with once you're in the courtyards with the maples, will be a little bit more, I don't want to call it lush because they're sort of drought tolerant kind of plants, but it'll be more densely planted. On the outside, I think we really want more of a feel of really what you sort of have in that parklet already with the ornamental grasses, the sages, rosemary, those kinds of plants, which are, when they're a little more drought tolerant, and plus they will have the continuity of that parklet come all the way through. So it'll sort of be that sort of Napa Valley, California kind of feel on the outside, and just simple, not real busy.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any comments? We discussed the project? Barbara?
I guess I'm wondering if the staff can address what this gentleman's concern about the privacy. Is that something can be mitigated by landscaping, more trees, or plant selection?
We think that the plan before you tonight that pulls the fence back from the property line, that includes landscaping to provide some elements of privacy, addresses that need. We did look at adding landscaping to the south side of the path, but that's a very thin planter, so in order to get plants of the height that would provide privacy is difficult, so that's not included as part of this project, but we do feel it addresses privacy concerns.
Because the landscaping, the fence is pulled back to add plants in front of the fence. Okay, all right, thank you.
I think it's very well presented. I think it'll be an improvement to that path by far. Sure.
So, looking at projects that usually come before us and stuff, we tend to look at all these details and scrutinize things, and I just have to say that this is a home run for me. This is the best that we could absolutely ask for. I mean, the choice of materials with the core tin, the use of the wood, the CMU, the variations in step back, the quality of the plant material, the consistency, carrying the theme through from the Bartizono hotel. On all levels, this just is hitting a home run for me. So I'm in exuberant full support of this.
Good. Would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the application as presented.
I will second that. All in favor? Aye. All right, great. Thank you very much. Okay, where's my... Do we have any staff and board reports?
We do have 2 hours to kill, so I'll just kind of draw on.
Or we could go.
Really, the only thing I wanted to
Thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you.
really the only thing I wanted to bring to the attention to the board, again, is a reminder of next week's final speaker series event for Envision Yountville with Peter Kageyama coming. As members of the board, you're invited to attend a special event that he'll be giving to board members and council members and town staff and other volunteers that you should have all received an email invitation for. If you have questions about it, please talk with me after the meeting. Happy to give you the details. And then in the evening as well, there's the town-wide discussion about community character. He's an incredibly engaging speaker. It'll be really fun. Also, the night before, he's going to have a little open house at Hurley's, so you can have a good one-on-one talk with Peter as well, just during the happy hour type thing that he has there. There's also going to be opportunities for book signing. So overall, it's going to be a fun week to have him here next week.
Great.
Yeah,
Looking
I wish
forward
I
to
could
it.
be here, but I won't be. But thanks for doing that, and thanks for making it so available to everybody. That's nice.
Also wanted to update you on the council decision from last week regarding the application process for the town advisory group for the general plan update and Envision Yountville. We did have 31 applicants for that, which is more than any that I can remember in recent past, and it's commendable to see how interested the community is in this project. The council elected to interview every applicant, even though 3 have dropped out, so that would be 28 interviews that the council would conduct. Following the interview process, a board would be assigned anywhere from 9 to 11 body members with 2 alternates that would have their vote included in order to make quorum. But with that, do you have any other updates? So.
I think the good turnout from the public is reflective of how you've presented the project to the town, by far.
Hope so.
That's been very successful.
Hopefully that's a good
very
thing.
well done. Okay,
But that's it.
all right. Anybody else? Then I will move to adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much. A second?
Yeah.
Definitely.
All in
It's
favor?
adjourned.
Meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you.